So with both food safety and environmental hazards, we face a situation where either a good outcome or a bad outcome can happen, and we don't quite know which one is going to happen beforehand. We refer to such a situation as either uncertainty or risk. So for example, with food safety, it might be that we have a pleasant experience, that we obtain the nutrition from the food that we want, and that we enjoy it. Or it could be that we would contract some sort of foodborne illness. Alternatively, with an environmental hazard, we could think, for example, of storing animal waste. A good outcome could be we effectively store it and contain it and dispose of it properly. Or a bad outcome could be that the storage tank ruptures, creating a spill and contamination in the area that would be difficult and costly to clean up. So we often characterize a situation as risk. If a situation is risky, we can't know exactly what will happen, but we might be able to know, for example, all the possible outcomes. And we also might be able to know the probabilities with which those outcomes occur. Whenever we have a situation where we know the possible outcomes and the probabilities of each of those outcomes, we refer to that as risk. So consider this vase that has 5 ping pong balls in it. I have 2 blue ones and 3 white ones. And suppose I were to tell you that if I were to close my eyes and draw out a ping pong ball, and I draw a white one, I would give you $5. And if I closed my eyes and drew out a blue one, that you would lose $3. We would call that situation risk, because you know exactly what the possible outcomes are, and you also know what the probability of each of those outcomes is. So if we had a situation where we had 2 urns, right, and one has 3 white balls and 2 blue, and the other has 1 white ball and 4 blue. Again, where the white ball would generate $5 and the blue one would result in you losing 3, then you would know exactly how risky each of these choices are. One of these choices is a little less risky than the other, and you could choose which one you would prefer. And of course, most people would probably choose the one that was a little less risky. So this also provides a really convenient way to measure risk. So for example, I could make this gamble more risky by putting in more blue balls, or I could change the gamble also by saying maybe instead of losing $3 when you draw a blue ball, you would lose $5. Either one of those would make it a more risky gamble. We could see the same sort of thing with food safety or an environmental hazard. The food safety could be a greater risk if there was a higher probability of contracting a foodborne illness, or it could be that the illness itself was more extreme or more likely to cause pain or death. Either one of those would be more risky. So we gauge the uncertainty or the risk with which we face any certain choice by running scientific studies and estimating the probabilities of those negative outcomes and the extent of those outcomes. But sometimes it's not really possible to know every possible thing that could happen, or to estimate the probabilities associated with those things. If that's the case, then we face what we call either uncertainty or ambiguity. They're both synonyms. So consider again our vase that had 5 ping pong balls in it, 3 white and 2 blue, where the 3 white would give you $5 and the 2 blue would lose you $3. And now consider your alternative choice was this bag that has some number of ping pong balls in it. And they have different colors, but I don't know what colors they are. And I may not even be able to tell you the rule with which I would reward you based on those colors. Which one would you choose? Most people tend to favor a choice where they know the probabilities and the outcome, rather than one where they don't. And that would be the case also when we start to face uncertainty and ambiguity in the real world, where we may not be able to know exactly the possible outcomes or the severity of those outcomes, for example, with a new technology or a new food.